Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by author, vascular and trauma surgeon, as well as retired general, Dr. Salvador Forcina. Dr. Forcina is going to be sharing his story about how he came from war-torn Italy to the U.S. to become one of the most respected doctors in the United States. So, Dr. Forcina, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, I just turned 83. I was born in Italy during the war, in World War II, in Scauri. It's located between Rome and Naples in the Mediterranean Sea. And that area suffered tremendous devastation during the war. So as a consequence, my father lost his brother during the war. His grandfather was a German prisoner. And so that caused very psychologically, caused tremendous pain to the family. So he decided in 1949 for us to go to almost at the end of the war at that time to migrate to Argentina. He was a worker. In Argentina, life was not easy for an immigrant at that time. However, at least he thought that was better for me and my brother to give us a future, and we will stay away from the war. And so I studied in Argentina. I became a doctor in Argentina, and I spent 20 years in Argentina. Life was not easy for me there. My parents were workers, were simple people. But what happened was I had the advantage of having a family, a father and a mother. They were very supportive in a simple way, and they encouraged me. And my father, when I was a child, I was no special child. I was just like anybody else. I like to play in the street, in a dirty road, kicking an improvised ball made with a sock. And so for some reason, I didn't want to study. And that was my father was very frustrated about that. But everything changed one day when the priests that were in one of the churches close by showed me some pictures about the college and where the kids had some activity like swimming in the pool. They have a horse. They were playing football, etc. So that motivated me. Anyhow, I went to the school in Buenos Aires. I spent 7 years. It was very rigid school. It was very hard for me. I remember the school changed my personality because I was very. When I went there, I was not a wild child, but I didn't have the discipline. I was 11 years old, and I saw my parents once a year. I was separated from my parents since 11 years old, and that psychologically, the separation from my mother affected me. And so it was very difficult for me in the beginning. But eventually, gradually, I start to see other boys that were applying themselves, and I start to understand what my father used to say, that you had to work hard and you had to apply yourself to accomplish something in life. And eventually, sooner or later, it took time. Sooner or later, that came through me, and it was good for me. So, like I say, after 20 years, I studied Argentina. I went back to Italy, and I was going to specialize in Italy. But Scauri, where my parents used to live, is a summer resort. I was there waiting until September to take some exams, and I met a distal member of my family in America, here in the United States, and they convinced me that to come to United States because whatever, and really reasoning, there was not too much for me difference between Argentina and Italy. So I came to this country, and there was really, I admire when I came to this country and I saw this country was something new for me, and I thought at that time that this was the promised land I was looking for. And I knew nothing was going to be easy, but if I apply myself and I work very hard, I could accomplish something in this country. And it was not easy in the beginning because I didn't speak English. My title, I was an MD, I was not recognized here. I had to take exams, and I never saw multiple choices exam in my life. So anyhow, to make a long story short, I had to take courses, and I didn't have the money. My family had to help me out, borrow money. Eventually, I passed the exam, and I started my training in general surgery, vascular trauma, and I did that for 5 years. And here we are.
Absolutely. And you also served as the chief of surgery for two
Yes.
North Jersey Shore hospitals. So kind of tell us about that, what that was like.
Yes. Well, I have a good training, and I apply myself. I was very serious. And I ended up being a chief of surgery in two hospitals, Holy Name Hospital in Teaneck and Meadowland Hospital in Secaucus, New Jersey, northern New Jersey, just a few miles from New York. And so it was a lot of responsibility, and I was very proud of have accomplished something. And so that was really a dream for me because being nobody in Argentina, I was nobody. I was an immigrant in Argentina, but immigrant in Argentina at that time, you were nobody. It's no immigrant being in the United States today. It's not. You were on your own, and what happened was with me was that I had to take too many paths, but the wrong path, the wrong direction, because I didn't have nobody that guided me. Nobody told me, do this, do that, don't do this. I had to make many wrong choices, and I had to correct that. Unfortunately, but I had in more than one occasion, I was ready to quit. But remembering, seeing the example from my parents that worked very hard. And so my parents were in Argentina for 30 years. In Italy, during the war, they lost everything. When they went to Argentina, they were young, and they worked very hard for 30 years. And wherever they had saved, the revolution came, the inflation came, and again, after 30 years, they lost everything, and they were back to zero. But they never quit, and so seeing that example of my parents, I don't need word. Just looking at them and their daily life and so encourage me for me to try to be somebody in life. I was like in a hole, try to get out of that hole, and that was the example I got from my parents, and I thank them.
Well, how do you feel that Italy, where you came from, is different now than it was when you were born and grew up there?
Yeah, well, Italy today is big changes, of course, because the technology today, the tourists, uh, the communication is a different world. It's a different world. At that time, there was like some sort of primitive society. There was people. They were very simple. People were very simple. You had in the scouring. They had the, the average person hardly knew how to write, how to read at that time. And there were the intellectual people, the priest, the lawyer, the doctor, or whatever. And there was reverence and very respect for the simple people that when they were walking in the street and somebody or those people, they were educated, whatever, they used to bend nod the head, remove the hat, and say good morning, good afternoon, or whatever. That was the environment in which my parents grew up, and so that's why that respect, there was really not. There was ambition, but they just had dreams. They knew that they couldn't accomplish anything because their life was so simple, and they didn't have the mean to 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 improve their life. So what happened was that they just live daily life. They have big families, and they were just complacency. People were happy, and with the simple life, they just live. And that of course, after World War II, with the rebuilding and the Marshall Plan and all that, everything changed. Everything changed, like I say, the technology, the communication, and the tourists, everything brought new life to those places.
Okay, well, tell us about your book. You also wrote a book about your story, so tell us where we can get it and what listeners can expect when they read it.
Yes, the book is called The American Doctor. The reason, like I said before, the American Doctor came about because, first of all, what happened was when after I finished my training with my wife, we were young and we were going to different people houses or party or whatever, and I met different people there. And people, most of the one person was inquire about me because foreign doctor, speak with an accent, and they were intrigued for what I was telling them, my life, how I started with nothing. As a matter of fact, my parents couldn't even buy the books for me. I had to borrow a book for friends, So what happened was that so on more than one occasion, there were more than one person that said, Dr. Forcina, this story is very interesting, your life, whatever. You should write down that because for the posterity and this and that. And of course, I was busy practicing and working hard night and day. So I never pay attention to that until I live in the villages here in Florida now. I'm retired. Like I said, I'm just turned 83. And while I was here, I have more time and my life is more relaxed. I don't have the stress of the practice. And in more than one occasion, start to think about your early days. How was your life? The up and down. And so what happened was that in more than one occasion, start to remember those days and remember my parents when I was young. And so what happened was that I start to write down a few things. And I sent that to my daughter. My daughter, Vanessa, she's a lawyer, and she lives in New Jersey. And she said, Daddy, that's beautiful. And she encouraged me. And so he suggested that you have to write all this memoir for. I have a granddaughter, Lennon. She is going to be 9 years old. And so, and like I say, I'm not going to be here for the rest of my life, but I want perhaps this book that explain my humble beginning and maybe can be of some help for her or other people. It can be a motivation to work hard. And we all have a bad moment in life. Perhaps maybe one day when somebody's down or whatever, pick up this book and read one chapter and say, well, look at this. If he did it, I can do that too. Maybe, perhaps. I wish that would be the case. So anyhow, so I wrote this book. It took several years. I was not writing constantly, but and I eventually, when I finished this book, it was accepted. The book, it can be purchased in Amazon or in Barnes and Noble, and talk about my life, my career, my family. Also, people can inquire about an Instagram that is Salvatore Forcina, MD. There are pictures of my family, Scout, Argentina, United States, whatever. And I would like to hear from people. I would like to hear from people when they read this book to hear their comments.
Okay. You just gave out your contact information. So tell us about any upcoming projects that you're working on that people need to know about.
Well, you know what happened. My daughter wanted me to write or whatever, but I'm not writing. I'm just right now. I'm just a dreamer. A dreamer. I want, I just want for the world to be a better place. At my age, I want peace in the world. That's my dream. I want everybody to be happy, everybody to be successful, to respect each other. Of course, it's a dream, but it will be nice. Will be nice. And so I start to write a few things, but it's not the same like the book that I gave everything to this book. And so you had to realize that going back to, I remember when I studied in the University of La Plata, close to Buenos Aires in Argentina. And I remember I was sharing, when I was in the university, I was sharing the room. We rent an old house where there are different rooms. And I was sharing the house with maybe 10, 12 other students. And I was the son of the immigrant, like I said before. My friends, God bless them, they were the son of the lawyer, the estanciero, people who have a lot of land, a lot of cows, and doctors, you name it. So what happened was that they have money. So what happened, La Plata is a big center, maybe 700,000 people has. And then in Friday afternoon, they used to leave and they used to go to Buenos Aires and have a good time until Monday early in the morning. Okay, they had the money, they could enjoy life. I couldn't do that. So thank God I couldn't do that because I became somebody. Because maybe if I have had the money, maybe I would not have had the willpower to study. Maybe, I don't know. You never know. So anyhow, that was the time when I used to lock myself in, borrow their books, and study with their book, make notes, and this and that. So, I start for nothing. But there was all the time, I thank my father, that he gave me all the time a little activate a little flame inside me to keep going, to keep going. There was no flame there. The fireplace didn't have a flame. There was maybe a charcoal there with a cover with ashes. It need to be blow. The ashes had to be blown and maybe blow some oxygen there to activate the flame. And that's what I have. And I thank that to my parents.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Dr. Forcina. Be sure to check him out on social media. Go pick up his book. Follow, rate, review, share this episode to as many people as possible. If you have any guest or suggestion topics, cjackson102 at cox.net is the place to send them. Thank you for listening and supporting the show. Jump in your favorite podcast app and hit follow and leave a review. As always, thank you for listening. And Dr. Forcina, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Thank you.
For more information on the Living the Dream podcast, visit www.djcurveball.com. Until next time, stay focused on living the dream.